So welcome everyone. My name is Peter, so I'll be moderating today's session, so first day of talks for Code and Beyond. So at Atlassian, one of our core values is play as a team, and diversity and inclusion is definitely part of that. So today we have Isabel Nyo, who's a development manager at Atlassian, who's going to be talking about beyond diversity and how to build teams, balanced teams. So yeah, Isabel.
Thanks, Peter. I'll wait for a few minutes so everyone can sit down. So let me start by introducing myself. My name is Isabel Nyo, and I'm originally from Burma, a country in Southeast Asia. A lot of people don't usually know where Burma is on the map, so I've got a map here for you. Burma is a beautiful little country next to Thailand, Laos, and China. I left Burma when I was a teenager, and I've lived in 3 countries as per the order of the flags on this slide here: Burma, Malaysia, and Australia. My hobbies are reading, writing, and learning new skills. Just like you, I'm also a little bit addicted to technology, and one of my favorite things to do online is to look at funny memes. And when I'm not too busy looking at funny memes, I'm spending time with my 7-year-old daughter, who knows much more about technology than I do. The other day, I saw her asking Google Home to do her homework. To share with you a bit of my professional background, I studied Bachelor and Master of Computer Science from the University of Wollongong in Australia. And I've been working in the technology industry since I started my career. And before I came to Atlassian, I worked for eBay, which is one of the biggest e-commerce companies in the world. And I've been working as a developer, an architect, team lead, tech lead, and a technology manager. I'm currently working for Atlassian as a development manager for one of our fastest growing products, Jira Service Desk. So who here is familiar with Atlassian? Everyone, right? That's why we are all here for Atlassian. So I know you're all familiar with Atlassian, but you might not be familiar with our mission. What's our mission? We believe that behind every great human achievement, there's a team. And therefore, our mission is to unleash the potential of every team. So let's talk about team. A team usually consists of 2 or 3 people or more that are working together to achieve a common goal. Each of us belong to a team, whether it's our team at work, a team in a community, or a sports team that we belong to. And now let's talk about diverse team. What does a diverse team look like then? When we hear about diversity and being diverse, we often associate it with gender. So the first thing that might come into your mind might be a group of people of different gender, perhaps an even balance of men and women. That's not a bad start, but there are many different ways to look at team diversity. In fact, let me share with you 10 different dimensions of team diversity. We have got gender, ethnicity, personality, race, nationality, generation, religion, education, sexual orientation, and age. And in fact, there are many other different dimensions of team diversity that I haven't mentioned here. So if you look up in the dictionary for definition, diversity is defined as a range of different things. And almost every company and every team wants to have diversity, and they want to have diverse team. Why? Because companies with diverse team are known to improve their customer orientation, employee satisfaction, and decision-making through global mindset, cultural fluency, and diversity of thoughts. Before we dive deeper into diversity, let's just take a look at the current state of play. So McKinsey did a research on the representation in the corporate pipeline by gender and race, which are the 2 very common diversity dimensions last year. And the number looked like this. At the entry level on the left-hand side, you can see that the number of men and women, white men and women, and the number of men of color and women of color entering the workforce are similar. White men and women made up about 30 to 36% each, and those of color made up about 16% each. However, as people progress in their career, to the right-hand side, in the position like director, VP, C-suite, the percentage of white men significantly dominates the pipeline. On the C-suite, 68% are made up by white men, with 19% white women, and 9% men of color, and 4% women of color. I don't know what happened to the rest of people who entered the workforce, and that is a shocking revelation. Atlassian also commissioned a report to understand the attitude and behavior of the tech worker in the past few years. So we surveyed tech workers in the United States and Silicon Valley because we wanted to understand the space that we work in. So today, let's just take a look at the result from the Silicon Valley because that's where most high-profile tech companies are. These companies and their employees continue to believe that diversity and inclusion is important. Roughly 80% of the respondents agree the importance of diversity and inclusion to their company, to the employee at the company, and to the executive at the company. These are really good numbers. However, it's discouraging to see the discrepancy between belief and action. Even though companies are implementing initiatives to improve the diversity and inclusion, the rate of implementation ground to a halt. Silicon Valley has fewer formal diversity and inclusion programs than last year. 55% of the respondents say their company have formal diversity and inclusion program in 2017, and that percentage is reduced to 45% in 2018. That's 10% drop. And despite implementing initiative and participating in the conversation, the tech company in the Silicon Valley lack retention, representation, and a sense of belonging among underrepresented groups in tech. The percentages fell in all three categories, and these numbers remain below 30%, which is not desirable at all. And the retention seems to be trending the worst, from 31% in 2017 to 17% in 2018. Why is that? Well, through our survey and research, we found that many people continue to believe that they don't see color or that they hire and promote based on skills alone. This will show that how people are very unaware of their unconscious biases, so it's more easy for them to create a bad environment. Lack of diversity in the senior role is an indication that there has been an inconsistent or low standard in evaluating performance in an organization. And some respondents also say that because their company is innovative or that they provide health benefit and competitive compensation packages, there's no problem with diversity and inclusion. If you are interested in learning more about the Atlassian State of Diversity report, please head to this URL and feel free to take a picture of this slide as well. This report shows that action is on the decline, so it's no wonder that progress on the diversity and inclusion has stalled. People are tired of talking about diversity and inclusion, and I'm not sure I'm already tired of talking about it for this talk, but let's stick around for a little while. They are getting diversity fatigue, frustrated by the lack of result, and overwhelmed by the number of issues to be addressed. While respondents continue to say that they care about diversity and inclusion, and they think diversity and inclusion are important, action declines across the board. And that's the current state of play. If you look at me, I'm a woman of color in the technology industry, and if this trend is going to continue, my career outlook is not so good. Sad, but true. So it has become clear that diversity alone is not enough. It's not enough to just hire people from different backgrounds with different attributes and stop there. To realize the potential of every single member of the team and to get full benefits of diversity, we need to do more. At Atlassian, we have realized that in order to continue making progress, we have got to go beyond diversity, or sometimes our limited association with diversity as just a gender issue. It's not about how many people of a specific demographic are represented at the company level. It's about balancing perspective across teams at all levels of the organization and how people feel when they come to work. We need to think beyond diversity as our ultimate goal and move past inclusion. So what exactly is beyond diversity? Does anyone know? No? Well, lucky for you, I've got the answer. The answer is belonging. It's about making everyone feel included and valued, not just the people from majority group or the people from minority group. It's about less about us versus them, but it's about all of us who belong. This feeling of belonging is a fundamental need that we all have, and when we nail this one, the rest will follow. Now I can hear you thinking, why is a development manager talking about HR issue? Building teams, creating a sense of belonging for team members feel a lot like HR responsibility. Well, I'm not gonna lie, but I used to think that too. I've come to realize though that building team where every team member feel included and valued is everyone's responsibility. After all, we all want to be part of high-performing teams and work for a good company and be a good company, don't we? Now, let me tell you a bit about my personal story and what has changed my perspective. I was often the only female representative in team throughout my career, regardless of which role I was in, whether I was a developer, a team lead, an architect, or a technology manager. A lot of the time, I feel like I rose among the thorns. Joke aside, how did I last so long in this career path? If you look at this picture up here, the top picture was taken with my engineering leadership team at Jira Service Desk about 3 months ago. And the one on the bottom was taken with one of the teams that I look after, and it was taken about 8 months ago. And if you look at this picture, you can see that the situation hasn't changed so much. I'm still the only female in most of my teams. I'm underrepresented in many ways. I'm an Asian, a migrant, a non-native English speaker, a woman in technology, and a working mom. And fun fact, I've never watched any Star Wars movie. And because I'm underrepresented in many ways, many people often ask me about my struggle and challenges that I face in the tech industry. For the first few times when people asked me this question, I didn't have an answer. I didn't have an answer because I didn't really recall having struggle or challenges that were worth talking about. Sure, I have struggled like not being able to finish my assignment on time or not being able to understand my professor Australian accent when I first started my university, or being overwhelmed with the amount of Jira tickets assigned to me when I was a developer, or being shocked by the number of back-to-back meetings that I've got in my calendar when I started my management journey. But then I hear about the struggle and challenges that other minorities in the industry face, and I feel bad. My struggle were nothing compared to the real struggle that others face, such as being overlooked for opportunity, being made fun of, not getting the recognition that they deserve, or being treated unfairly, and so on. So I thought about it more and more, and I realized that I didn't have such struggle because I had a chance to work for many people and work with many people who are open and collaborative, leaders that believe in me and provided me with stretch assignment, and colleagues that value my input and therefore fulfill a fundamental need that we all have, belonging. This feeling of belonging has helped me find my voice, not be afraid to take risks, and ultimately perform my best. Now, let me share with you this specific situation of where I feel a sense of belonging, even though on the outside I was hanging out with a bunch of people who looked nothing like me. So earlier on in my career, many years ago, I was at a technology conference like LS Camp as an audience. And during the conference, I was really inspired by this speaker. So I said to my colleague who was sitting next to me how good the speaker was and how I would never be able to speak in front of an audience like that. It was just a small comment, but my colleague actually turned around, looked at me in the eyes and said, "Why not, Isabel? What made you think so?" And before I could answer anything, he went on and said, "You do have good idea to share too. What's stopping you?" It was just a simple question, but it empowered me. It empowered me because it made me realize that we are often limited by not what we can do, but what we think we can't do. That person wasn't my manager. He wasn't an HR professional. He was just a developer that I work with. He was just a fellow team member. But he has made such a profound impact to me through a simple thing that he said. He made me realize that I belong in the industry and that I have a voice too. And here I am speaking in front of you today. And before you think that I'm always lucky to meet all these people, I do sometimes face like unconscious bias or discrimination in the industry. So for example, a few years ago, I applied for a job for a technology manager, head of engineering, and I didn't get the job. And when I asked for feedback from the hiring manager, he said, I didn't look like a head of engineering manager. I don't know what's the look of the head of engineering, but anyway, I do face things like that. Or sometimes people assume that I'm not technical, even though I've got a bachelor and master of computer science, because I'm good with people and good at people management. However, I don't let these things affect me too much because I know that I belong in the industry and that I want to stay in the industry to help make an impact and to create an environment that creates a sense of belonging for everyone. So now we know making everyone feel included and valued so that they reach their potential is something that all of us can do. It's not just the responsibility of a manager or an HR professional. Every single one of us can make a difference in another person's life. With that in mind, how are we going to fulfill this responsibility? Yes, there are things that we can do, and for the next few minutes, I'd like to share with you exactly some of the things that we do at Atlassian so that you can take them back to your company or back to your team and try and implement them. To help people achieve and realize their potential, we need to create supportive environment and build balanced team that everyone can thrive in. There are 3 key elements to building balanced team: education, empathy, and empowerment. I refer to them as 3 E, so it's easy to remember. These 3 E go hand in hand and fuel each other. So through education, for example, when someone is more aware of their unconscious biases, they become more understanding of other people, and they are able to put themselves in the shoe of other people who may not necessarily share the same attribute and background as them. And this enables them to make a conscious decision to create an environment that empower and increases the self-determination in others. And that's the key essence of the 3 E working together in creating a sense of belonging for teams. There are 3 main categories that we are focusing on at Atlassian that incorporate the 3 key elements. The first one is the focus on team level progress and success. Why team level? Atlassian is a 5,000 employee company, and it seems impossible for any single employee to be able to influence all the 5,000 employees in the company. But everyone can do something better for their immediate team and the team member that they work with daily. So we have a few tools at Atlassian that help us focus on team level progress and success. The first is the Health Monitor. Has anyone heard of Health Monitor before from Atlassian? So it's a special kind of meeting or an event where team members will assess their team based on the 8 attributes that are most commonly found among balanced teams. So areas like shared understanding, velocity, defined value and metric, etc. are rated as green, yellow, and red. Some teams do it as part of their Scrum meeting, some teams do it monthly or quarterly. The goal is to have an honest look at how your team is performing based on the perspective of your own team member. It's a bit like having a look at yourself in the mirror. At the end of the Health Monitor session, your team will be able to identify the strength as well as the area to grow within the team together. If you're interested in learning more about the Health Monitor, feel free to check out the team playbook on the Atlassian website. We also run regular surveys for team members to provide feedback about their work, organization, people, and culture. So what's the main difference between the Health Monitor and the survey? Well, the main difference is that the surveys are anonymous, so everyone can be as honest and direct as they wish. Managers are then expected to review the survey result and take action after getting an understanding about how the team members are feeling. Even though not everyone is a manager, everyone can still make an impact in these surveys by answering them truthfully. Some of the questions that we ask in these surveys are designed with belonging in mind. So for example, we ask people to rate how they feel about 1, I can be myself at work, 2, I feel like I belong on my team, and 3, my team encourages diverse perspectives that allow us to make better decisions. Apart from the survey, we also strive to create a feedback culture where every team member feels that they have the right to give feedback to another person in the team, regardless of their role or the seniority. So for example, a developer is more than welcome to give feedback to a product manager that they work with. And likewise, a designer is encouraged to give feedback to a developer that they work with as well. Whether through the structured way like 360 feedback report, which we encourage people to send through every quarter, or candidly. And last but not least, when it comes to seeing progress and celebrating success for companies that build software, I believe that team demo are the best venue for it. For example, at my department, Jira Service Desk, we have got fortnightly demo where we give every team 5 to 7 minutes to showcase their prototype, in-progress feature, or bug fixes that they have worked on for the past 2 weeks, and share their lesson with the rest of the team in the department. And when we have got something worth celebrating, we celebrate with custom t-shirt like the one that I'm wearing, but a bit different, that's unique to the team, and cake, cheese and wine, movie night, and so on. These events and activities are unique to each team within the Atlassian company, and that's what creates a sense of belonging for team members. Second category that we have is about fostering belonging and inclusion. We begin by listening to and believing in what everyone had to say, and then raising our collective standard about how we engage in the workplace. We have so many grassroots communities within Atlassian. These communities are created by anyone and everyone within the organization. Some of them are not even strictly work-related. So for example, currently I'm part of a sketch club because I like to draw or take visual notes, so I'm part of this sketch club, and also a club called Women in Sydney and Parents Community. There are also other communities like Pokemon Go or Star Wars, which I'm not part of, but maybe I'll be part of it soon if someone can convince me enough, and basketball club. See, I told you they are not even strictly work-related. While many people in these company or these community come from various parts of the organization, having this shared interest create a sense of belonging among the members of the community. But sometimes we don't know what we don't know, and we can't expect every single person in the organization to be fully across all the best practices when it comes to fostering belonging and inclusion. That's where our playbook come in handy. Our playbook are step-by-step instruction on recommended way to work in teams. So we have got playbook on how to do standard updates to how to kick off a project. My favorite playbook is called Inclusive Meeting, and maybe because I'm always in meeting, I find myself using it quite a lot. It covers ground rule like no talking over each other in the meeting, which may seem like a common sense, but common sense is not always common. And there are also some good tricks or suggested idea like asking someone to be the scribe if they are dominating in a group meeting so that they can be an active listener instead of an active talker. And there's no better way to learn about another person and their perspective than to hear it from them. To that end, Atlassian encourages sharing of personal story via blogging. So I just checked this morning, and we use Confluence as our blogging tool, so I just went onto the Confluence instance and checked this morning, and we have about 300 blog posts written in the past 7 days. So we have a huge blogging culture. And when a new employee joined the company, they are asked to create a blog post asking everyone to read about them and introduce themselves to everyone. So you could imagine my surprise when I received more than 60 comments within the first few hours of writing my intro blog post. And some people actually write their blog posts twice after they realized that they were actual human beings reading about them. So through blog posts written by fellow Atlassian, I've learned things like how to make a pizza without an oven, to what's okay and not okay to say to a transgender. These blogs allow team members to have an open discussion and engage in all aspects of diversity. The last category that we have is about improving processes and policy so that they are fair at all levels. We know that systematic exclusion of certain groups, such as African American, women, and people with disability in the tech industry is structural. So we need structural solution to solve these problems. We believe that a balanced team is an outcome of hiring, rewarding, and advancing people based on merit, as well as giving everyone the equal opportunity. So for hiring, we use non-gender language in our job ads to indicate that all gender are welcome to apply. So you won't see words like Superman, Ninja Developer, or rock star in our job ads, which are often associated with male figures. Research also shows that unstructured and non-specific review criteria are more likely to create a bias assessment. And therefore, we provide unconscious bias training and structured interview training to all interviewers at Atlassian. Let me talk a little bit about unconscious bias because I've mentioned it a few times in my talk, but I haven't actually explained it. So unconscious bias is an intentional preferences. We automatically assign negative and positive value to the category that we see every day. These are influenced by the simple model of the world and by the patterns that we see every day. And before you think you don't have any bias or unconscious bias, let me tell you that every one of us has got unconscious biases. they are as a result of our mental limitation. We tend to categorize them automatically to avoid making completely new assessment. So these assessments, most of these assessments are based on our background, our upbringing, our education, and experiences. So let me give you a bit of an example. For example, if you prefer a candidate who went to a certain university or who has got a certain degree because you associate with intelligence, then it's unconscious bias and it's dangerous because it creates a halo effect. Halo effect is when one positive trait of a person can affect your overall perception of that person. Just because someone has gone to a certain university or they have a certain degree does not automatically make them more intelligent or more suitable for a role than other candidates. So the unconscious bias training that we have at Atlassian aim to reduce unconscious bias in our hiring pipeline, therefore allowing Atlassian interviewer to more objectively evaluate people from minority or non-traditional background. Just this year, Atlassian has also introduced an approach to senior level hiring, which we call balanced slate approach. It's a version of Rooney Rule. Does anyone play football here, or does anyone know what Rooney Rule is? So Rooney Rule is, oh, you do? Rooney Rule, let me explain it to you quickly. Rooney Rule is a National Football League policy that requires a league team to interview ethnic minority candidates for head coaching and senior football operation job. It was established in 2003, and the purpose was to ensure that minority coaches, especially African American, are considered for head coaching position. So similarly at Atlassian, we aim to identify and consider people from underrepresented group for new hire at the senior level, such as head of department or executive role. This balanced slate approach is actually recommended for all roles, but is mandatory for senior level role. Because we know that a more balanced representation at the senior level will make it easier to retain and hire people at the junior and mid-level of the organization. Just so we are clear, we are not actually required to hire a particular candidate from an underrepresented group. The process was to ensure that we have a balanced set of candidates for consideration at the most senior level, with a special attention given to sourcing candidates from underrepresented group. And to reward people based on their full contribution to the team, we prioritize much more than individual performance. We have recently redesigned our performance assessment at Atlassian, and now it includes 3 assessment criteria: expectation of the role, contribution to the team, and demonstration of the company value. What this means is that even if someone is exceptional in their technical ability, if they are not a good team player or they are disrespectful to their team member, then they likely receive off-year rating. And this rating is tied to the bonus package, so there's a good incentive for people to be a good team player. But we know that it's not enough to just do stuff and hope for the best. We must continuously monitor and improve. The good thing about being a tech company is that we have the skills and resources to do so. Therefore, Aubrey Blanche, our global head of diversity and belonging, and people team has dashboard on where they look at hiring, promotion and pay equity, inclusion, and attrition data on a regular basis, from monthly and annually. And they continuously look at what are the areas to improve, what are the things that we must do next, and so on. And now let me share with you some of the results that we have seen at Atlassian. We now have 20% of women in technical role at Atlassian, and this is the snapshot of a few weeks ago. So we just got this data recently. And that's 3% increase from the year before. So the percentage in 2018 was 17%, and the percentage of women in 2017 was 14%. And then we have got 24.5, almost 25% of technical role filled by women in the past 12 months. This is our hiring rate. And we have a total of almost 22% of employees at over age 40 at Atlassian. So this includes 40 above, also include 50 and 60 and so on. And we have almost 30% of women in senior leadership role. and that is a slight increase from the year before as well. And finally, we have 36% of our senior leadership role filled by those from Asian ethnic group in the past 12 months. While these numbers are not completely out of the world, we are very proud of them because we have worked hard to get here. And we know that we have got more work to do. But it's a journey that we are willing to take and we are willing to invest in. Just like Aubrey would say, we are continuously raising the bar on what we want to achieve. I'd like you to walk away from my talk with three key things. These key messages apply not only to creating a balanced team or giving everyone in your team an equal opportunity, but also to anything that you do in life. First, seek first to understand. Understand what unconscious bias is and understand why it is important to be aware of it. Second, talk is cheap. It's easy to say that we care about something, but if we really do care about something, we need to take a personal responsibility to do something about it. So if you say you care about creating a balanced team where every single member of the team is treated with respect, the simplest thing you can start doing is when you hear someone or when you see someone talking over another person in a meeting, call it out. And last but not least, you can't improve what you don't measure. There's always room for improvement. We all know that. But knowing what to improve is an important first step. If you're not sure where to start, you can start by looking at how your team is trending when it comes to hiring, retaining, and promoting talent. You can also send out a regular survey to team members to get an understanding about how they are feeling and compare these results over time. And then you can start taking appropriate initiative. When you are thinking about taking initiative, please try to remember the 3 categories that we are doing at Atlassian, which is first. What's the first one? Anyone taking notes? The first one is focus on team level success and progress. The second one is the foster belonging and inclusion. And third is improving processes and policy so that they are fair at all levels. We live in a deeply connected and global world. It should come as a no surprise that more diverse companies are achieving better performance. However, to achieve better performance, we need to go beyond diversity as our end goal and take full advantage of the opportunity that diverse team and diverse team members present. At Atlassian, we are on a mission to build a balanced team across our organization. We are trying to build teams where every single member of the team can bring their unique viewpoint, informed by the identity that they hold and the experiences that they have had, and know that they are valued. At Atlassian, we are building a balanced team where every team member can feel a sense of belonging. I'd like you to join our journey, and we'll be sharing our challenges, wins, and successes and experiences openly. Feel free to check out atlassian.com/belonging to stay in the loop. And that's all I have for today. I hope that you have picked up a thing or two and that you are inspired to take action. It's my hope that you take charge to be an inclusive team member and leader in the organization or in the team that you are a part of, and create an environment that enables others to feel a sense of belonging, thrive, and do their very best. Like a very wise man once said, be the change that you wish to see in the world. Thank you so much for letting me speak about this important topic that's close to my heart.